Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Youth Intake Challenge, where a season that had so much promise has taken a very slow start. We've all encountered them times where the team doesn't quite play the way you wanted, expectation drops off, but we've had an absolute stinker of a start to the season, no bones about it. So let me catch you up to where we are and we'll see what we can do about it. And welcome back. Unlike normal, where we would start with the competitions, we're going to start with the schedule this time. And as you can see straight away, it's been a pretty horrific start to the season. We had the 3-1 defeat at Northampton on the opening day, where Tony Dunn got his first goal of the season. We followed that with getting dumped out in the Carabao Cup by Chesterfield, and morale took a big nosedive. We lost away at Burton 2-0. Again, Burton, MK Dons and Bradford City, it's some of the teams at the top of the league. So we got beat by MK Dons 3-1 as well. Peterson with a goal. Dunk got a second of the season as we got beat by Bradford 4-2. We then got beat by Walsall 4-2. Again, Dunk getting another goal. So what looked like the only bit of promising news from the season so far at that point. We did, however, turn a slight corner as we went through September. We got a 1-1 draw, one on penalties against Sutton in the Motors Trophy. We got a draw with Crewe, which got us our first point of the season. We then got 2 wins, so back-to-back wins against Bromley and Lincoln, Lamar, Hams and Peterson with 2. Walsall gave us a good hiding in the southern section of the Motors Trophy. We picked up a few valuable points at Dorking, FC United and Colchester. Dunk getting another goal in there. And then we got a 3-2 win at home to York, with Lamar Hams getting 2 goals and Steve Spencer with 1. Rotherham put pay to that little rise in form again, brought us back down to earth with a bump, the 3-0 defeat. Harrogate, we picked up another much needed point. Bury dumped us out the FA Cup in the first round. We got a really good dominating win against Wigan, really. Duncan Spence with the goals. We weren't able to build on that as Worthing, a team that I thought we had a real good chance against, beat us 1-0. West Ham under 21s, 5-3. It was an absolute cracker of a game, but we got no points, so we were out of that competition as well. Scunthorpe beat us 2-1. Dunk with another goal. We beat Sutton 2-0. Moses and Watson with the goals from Watson, kind of opening his account. And then Fleetwood we beat away 2-1 to get another valuable 3 points. Dunk and Dimitriadis again before Oxford. They gave us an absolute hard-in 4-0. So that's where we were. What that means in terms of the league is we're in 18th, so 23 points. So not a bad return really when you consider the slow start. We're not pulling up any trees in terms of challenging towards that kind of playoff position. But we have largely recovered. A lot of that's down to a formation change. So we did had our tried and tested formation for a number of seasons, which we can see. Well, it would normally be a bit like that. We've swapped to a 4. Initially we went 4-4-2. Now we've gone to a 4-1-3-2. And just to give Dunk a bit of partnership up top, make us a little bit more goal threat, while still maintaining some defensive formation, bringing the wingers back slightly deeper, playing the full backs on support instead of wing backs, and having a defensive midfielder just playing in front of the back 4. So that's kind of stemmed the tide and got some points on the board, and that's largely what we've been playing with for the last few games, on a cautious approach, just to get points on the board and make sure that we're going to be in this division again for another season. Other things to look at then really is the squad. It's really difficult to pick out the success stories from this, although in the last 5 games we've had Lynch come on, albeit it's a one-off. He had a really good performance, but he's not played a lot of games for us, but that does show that he's got a bit of potential in there for it. Dunk, 20 games and 7 goals. He's been one of the success stories of the season. I think if we look at his development, he is on an upward curve. He's playing a lot of games. Now that we've got 2 up top, we can get him more and more game time. Attribute-wise, I don't think he's had too much of a shift. Just 1 for decisions and 1 for anticipation. However, some of his physical stats are on the up. He just needs to develop a little bit more technically. Although that finishing first touch combo of 12 and 14 is largely what makes him the success that he is. Itodo's having a couple of games on the left wing of recent. Again, he might be able to force his way into the side. Moses, quite a steady player on that right hand side. But outside of that, even the successful players, the AD McAvoy's not having a great season. Atienza, wherever he is, he's down 6.64 last 5 games. So it's just been a real stinker of a season so far. But average rating for the season so far, no surprise really that the ones at the top are the ones who played a one-off game with a victory and not really picked up much from it. Inglian Fredericks, the goalkeeper, probably worth having a look at him. He is flatlined, but his comparison of all time, or his attribute gain of all time, has been pretty good. I mean, I think a fair spread. You can't see the ones behind the physical because it's trapped behind my head, but that's a +4 for jumping reach, and below that he's got a +4 for stamina and a +7 for strength as well. So he's been a massive success story. He's at 25 now, so he's one of the stalwarts of the squad. But what we really need is someone to come through and kind of boost us in the areas we need. I think when we look at the squad planner, there are some clear weaknesses. I think goalkeeper wise, we're all right for first choice, could do with a bit of depth. I think our fullbacks are probably an area we really need something in. Brathwaite's not too bad, but again, he's not setting the world alight. And right back's a real problem. We let Bellingham go. I thought Potter would be able to step up and take the mantle. He's not quite been able to do it in a way I wanted him to. Raxo, again, really good player, but he's not quite grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck like we'd like. And Dean Spence is, again, that midfield three of Spence, Peterson and Raxo I thought was going to be a real foundation for this team moving forward. It's just not quite played out that way. Whether it was the formation or not, I'm not sure. But I think with Tony Dunk on there, Tony Watson starting to get some goals, if we can develop them two strikers, and again, Tony Watson's got 4.5 star potential as well. As a pairing, that might be something that moves us up the league. That being said, for our preview, we weren't threatening to do anything. I mean, we've got a couple of teams down there with us. I think it's another consolidatory season. I'm hoping that we get something out of the youth intake. That being said, the youth intake preview has come in. We've got a goalkeeper as an A, wingers as an A, and then a lot of C's and E's. So again, I'm not expecting too much. A couple of fullbacks is useful, but there's not a lot in that area, and that's really starting to hamper us a little bit. I could do with a fullback coming out quite sharpish. It's of quite a high standard, so that's what we're looking for. In terms of club vision, etc., we have had a few little improvements along the way. Another improvement to the youth recruitment. Again, hopefully that's going to pay dividends in the long term. Largely in terms of the club vision, they're pleased. We were secure. At one point we were untouchable, but that's kind of faded away. Long distant memory now. And then in terms of the projection, we're still on a massive downward spiral. So we've got to find a way of making a little bit of money and moving on. We've not let anyone else really go. I'm a bit loath to really, because I don't think we can really absorb much more. However, the second half of the season, I'd like to think we'll pick up a little bit of form from where we are. Certainly, I don't expect us to be losing a good 6 games in a row again, because I don't know if we would survive that. Training's all right. Dynamics isn't particularly bad. Again, Steve Spencer wants a new deal. Raxo wants a new deal as well, and you'll probably be surprised to say I can't give him one yet. And that's not because the finances aren't there. It's because his agent keeps trying to put in a fixed release fee of 200,000, and we can't afford to put in a release fee like that because he'll be snapped up. There's been a huge number of bids in from clubs like Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn. We need to get him on a long-term contract without a release clause so we can milk him for any penny he's worth. Steve Spencer, again, I'm not too bothered about him. He can leave, to be honest, because we've got another 2 strikers in now, and Hams would be the third fiddle to that. So I'm not going to break the bank to try and keep him in there. And Atienza wants sufficient quality at right back. We did appease him by saying we're going to develop someone from the youth system, but there isn't a huge amount of options in there. I think the only one that we brought through, if I can find them, and I probably have to sort my position to make it easier for me, is Callum Coleman. He'd come through a previous youth intake. He's only 16. He needs a bit of development time before we can throw him in too much. He has had quite a few games, so he's had 9 appearances at 16 years old, but we're going to need to let him get a few more developmental games before we can integrate him fully. I think that's really it in terms of the update. We won't play a game on this one. What I'll do is I'll battle through and get through the second half of the season, try and get us into the youth intake to see what this develops into. But hopefully that serves some way of an update. Again, let me know in the comments section if there's anything you want to look at in particular, whether there's any players or any stats wise you want to analyse, and I can get them up on the screen and tailor it to what you want to see. But other than that, it's going to be a long, hard second half of the season, and we're going to need the new formation to take shape. We're going to need some players to pick up in terms of developmental, and we're going to need the old sweats to really pull their socks up and grab the game by the scruff of the neck, because we could still get a mid-table finish out of this, and that's what I'm really going to aim for now. So once again, thanks for watching. It's been a really enjoyable save. I think we're 10 or 11 season. This is the 11th season, I think, and I've never played Football Manager in this way. And again, for those of you ever thinking of trying it, I would absolutely 100% give it a go. And maybe do it in a foreign country or something if you're not sure of doing it in the English leagues, because it can be a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it's certainly a really good experience when you're actually using the youth players to come through, and it kind of builds your squad. So once again, thanks for watching. Take care, and until next time, enjoy saves.